Hello guys, this is Al from Open Source Channel. Welcome. This is a new episode on how to. Don't forget to subscribe, click on the bell icon, don't forget to share so you can help this channel with the actual YouTube algorithm. Here we go, we got the RoundCube tutorial that I made about 8 years ago. This is one of my most successful tutorial, and today I'm going to do a revival. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth, still easy to do, so just come along and enjoy the tutorial. So we are RoundCube.net. Here you find all the new features of the latest version, and what we're going to do now, we're going to go to the download page, and I'm going to download the 151 version, the stable one, and I'm going to download the complete version. There are multiple versions, but I'm going to use the complete one. Again, you can go to the 151 or you can go to the 1.412, the LTS version. That is the long-term support one. I have already downloaded my version, the 1.51, and I already extracted just to have a look inside the actual folder. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the tar one to upload. Again, this is the actual inside. I want to make sure that it looks the way I want it to look, nothing's missing. So what I'm going to do, I'm using Cyberpanel. Cyberpanel comes with raid loop, as you can see here, not with the RoundCube. It's impossible to have both versions installed, so I'm going to show you a way around, but this is not about Cyberpanel anyway. I already got here a email that I have created just for demonstration, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a child domain or subdomain, and I'm going to call it WebMail. So the entire domain will be webmail.osc.uk. The path, I'm going to leave it as it is, so it's going to be created inside the main one. And for the, make sure you actually read which is the minimum or the, which PHP is compatible. In this particular one, I'm going to choose 7.2. I'm not going to use SSL because I'm doing it locally, but I'm going to create the open base layer protection, and they can support, if it depends what you want to do. And then once I'm done, I'm going to create the actual domain. Here we go, the actual domain is being created. It shouldn't really take long, and we have created the actual subdomain successfully. I'm going back now. If I go to the actual domain, you can see the Cyberpanel installed and everything looks fine. So we can now start the actual installation of the RoundCube. Alright, so now next step is going to list the child domains, and I'm going to click manage on a Cyberpanel. Again, if you use a different panel, I'm sorry, this is Cyberpanel, but let me know if I can help you. Leave any comment in the description below. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to the file manager, and I'm going inside the actual folder of the actual domain. I'm going to delete the index.html file that is inside the actual folder. I'm going to confirm. Then I'm going back, I'm going to refresh it. I want to make sure that I get this kind of an error because the file is not found. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to upload the tar. Again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, let's call it zip file. I'm going to upload the zip file. Then once it has been uploaded, what I'm going to do, I'm going to extract it inside the folder itself rather than upload every single file. That is much faster, and I think it's much better anyway. I'm going to do extract. Sometimes what you do find that it creates a folder with all the files, as you can see in this case as well. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to move all the file inside the actual folder, inside the root of the actual folder, of the actual domain itself. And I'm going to press move once all the files has been highlighted. I have chosen the right and correct path. Here we go. The actual moved is being successful. Now the only thing left is to delete the old folder to make sure nothing is left. Something needs to be done. It needs to be done tidy. Now the next step is go to the actual domain and /installer, the actual folder that it will initiate the installation of RoundCube. And here we go to the RoundCube. Don't forget, I got the old video, is more or less the same. This is just a newer version. I'm going to go a little bit more in details. As you can see, there are some red things that needs to be looked at. these kind of tutorials are not very in-depth, not very technical, so you can actually follow along without any issues. Alright, so my next step here is to go and create a new database. I'm going to the database dash. I'm going to select the actual domain I'm going to use. I'm going to type the name of the database. Again, I'm going to use something, stupid, OSC _ OSC. Again, if you do something that you're going to publish, make sure it's very strong, extremely strong, especially the actual password. So the database has been created, as you can see here. So we are back to the RoundCube installation, and we're going to have a look what is missing, what it needs to be done. As you can see here, we got set the time zone. That's very important. And we're going to install the image IK. Again, we're going to use the 7.2 PHP. I'm going to select the 7.2. I'm going to find the module, and I'm going to install it. As you can see here, image GIK install. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait until its installation is completed. Don't forget, if you do something similar, make sure that you restart PHP server, otherwise it will not start, okay? Or it won't work, it won't show up that it's been installed. We go back. Now, even if I refresh it, you will see that has not been done. It's because it needs to be restarted. Alright, so I'll go back to the PHP extension, and I'm going to select again manage. Then I'm going to change the PHP version, select the 7.2, change PHP. Then I'm going to select PHP here on the configuration. I'm going down, make sure the 7.2 is selected, and I'm going to restart PHP. This is how it works on my Cyberpanel. Once it's been done, I'm going to refresh, and it should be okay, as you can see here. Right, so the next step is to resolve the time zone. Again, if you do things properly, you need to do that as well. So for the MySQL, as you can see here, I don't mind because the MySQL is okay. I don't have all the actual database, all the rest of the database installed. So that's why I'm going to use MySQL. But for the time zone, I'm going to show you how to do it quickly by editing the PHP NI. So the first thing you want to do is go to the panel here. I'm going to the PHP. I'm going to edit the PHP. I'm going to select the PHP I want to edit. In this case, it's going to be 7.2. I'm going to the advanced because logically that is php.i. I'm going to search for the time zone. So what I'm going to do, press Ctrl F. No, I got one wrong there. Let me copy that. Now the things also I'm going to do. Here we go, time zone. I'm better off if I sign it. Here we go, we got the time zone there. So for my time zone, I am in London. So what I'm going to do, as you can see from here, after the equal, I got 3 of those. Yeah, okay. Now that's the one you want to do. That one is date. I'm going to remove the colon before that. Yep, remove the colon, and I'm going to add the time zone or where I am. There we go. I go London, Europe, London there. So I'm going to do Control V. And when I'm happy, I'm going to save the changes. Don't forget to restart your PHP again. There we go. We have done everything. So let me close this one up. Nice. Now it's been done. I'm going to refresh to make sure that is okay. As you can see, that has also been done. Next step is to press next. Now we're talking about the actual installation of RoundCube on your server. Most of the stuff you can see here, I'm going to leave it as it is, as I don't want to complicate stuff. So this is good enough for you to get started. Alright, so now for the support URL, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to use the actual URL that it depends. If you use it for yourself, you don't really need it. You can put any URL you want, but if you do it for business, for example, you do it on your own server, you want to give the main URL. In this case, I'm going to give my main URL here. So it's going to be osc.uk. Make sure you got the HTTP as well. All right. In regards of the authorization, I'm going to leave it unchecked for the check client IP. For the spell, I'm going to also leave it as it is on PS spell as well. So as I said, most of the stuff here is going to be exactly the same. Also the identifying panel exactly the same. The login number is exactly the same file. All the directory and the path are correct. don't just move it, it's automatically done anyway. Now I'm going to go to the list of the database again, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to copy the database name and the database user. And I'm going to use this one, the MySQL, as I told you earlier on, localhost. Now I'm going to paste the database name, and I'm going to paste the database user, and I'm going to enter the password. Make sure your password is strong. Here it's just for the tutorial. I'm going to use something that I can remember. For the prefix, is also advisable you use a prefix. All right, I'm going to leave this one here for now. I'm going to do it, so it's going to be something like a couple of letters and the underscore as well. You won't see it, but trust me, I put it there already. Now, for the Imap settings, this is very important. Now, as you can see there, I go localhost, but remove localhost, or it depends how you want to do it. In this installation, I'm not going to use localhost. I'm going to leave it as null, as empty. So the actual user is going to put the actual host itself as well. I'm going to show you later on as well. Otherwise, just put the IP or your server. In this case, for me, will be 192.168.1.227. The port is 143. Again, for the SMTP is exactly the same. I'm going to leave it without localhost. Again, for you, you can put your IP of your machine. The port I'm going to use, again, you can use the default port 587. Again, double check your ports, which one is available, which one is default. Those ones are the defaults for the emails. I usually leave it as they are as well, unless you want to use the non-SSL. The language is going to be EN_US or UK, whatever. In this case, for me, it's going to be US. I had a little bit of a problem. I don't know why, if it's Cyberpanel the problem, but I have problem, putting UK there. I'm going to use the Skid Elastic, and anything else, really, you don't need to change anything. I'm not going to install any of the plugins here to make it easy. Once I'm happy, I'm going to create the config. But I just want to make sure here you understand, for the Imap, I do not put anything. You put your IP of your machine. Again, later on, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about a little bit more in details. So stay tuned until the end of the actual video. So I'm going to press create config, and as you can see, the config has been created and is inside the folder config. You can go to the GitHub page and you can find more information on how to tweak the config file. So let's go back here. Everything looks fine, and I'm going to press continue. Now, as you can see there, the database has not been initialized, and I'm going to press initiate the actual database. That has been done. Now, for the MIME type file extension mapping, don't worry about for that. Now, you can actually test the SMTP config if you want to. I'm going to skip it because I know it works already tried. So now, before we finish, as you can see in red there, make sure you can actually delete the installation folder. That is important. Alright, now for the MIME type file extension, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the file manager. A second, I'm going to the config folder. I'm going to move the actual file to the root of the actual directory. So I'm going to remove config, and I'm going to press move. That is the first thing I'm going to do. Next step is going to edit the config.inc.php. And what I'm going to do at the end of the actual file, I'm going to declare where the actual MIME file is located. In this case, in the root directory. You can actually find the path again inside the file manager. As you can see here, for example, mine is on the left corner, current path. So this is the actual path that I need. Let me go back here again. So I'll go to the end, and this is where I'm going to add the actual file. Now I'm going to change the path to the correct ones. Here we go. This is the actual path itself. Let me go back here. Let me copy this one here. Copy. Let's go back to config. Edit again. Go to the end. Here we go. And I'm going to change the path with the correct one. In this case, correct to me, to my server. So it's $config, the main types, as you can see there, and I'm going to save it. When it's been done, everything should be working perfectly well. So once been saved, I'm going to get out of the actual editor. Here by mistake I just refreshed it, but don't worry about it, you don't need to refresh. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to rename the installer folder. Old installation for you will be totally remove, delete the actual folder. So I have already done this one by renaming it. Again, you don't rename it, make sure you delete it. Okay, now I'm going to refresh here, and as you can see, we got the, let me copy that a second. So the installation, we got the server, and this is what I meant. Now I'm going to log in with the email that, email account that I done at the beginning of the actual video, and all I'm going to do, just press login. Now if I go to the database, for example, if you want to look at it that way, and I'm going to go users, as you can see, nothing is there. So once you do it for the first time, it'll automatically write all the information inside. As you can see, we are already there inside the actual database. So this is RoundCube working perfectly well. Now refresh it, and as you can see, there is a new entry with all information about that client that has logged in inside the RoundCube. Now if I try, for example, to log in without the server, as you can see, it says invalid server name. Now I left that empty, it was localhost, but I left it empty. But now if I go back and I say mail.osuk as it is, again, you can put, in this case, if you put your IP, it will work all right. In fact, if you put out the IP in the beginning of the installation, you won't even have that entry. It will be done automatically. That's why I told you in the beginning. I had to do this for different reason. But for you, because it's a local machine, that's all. I go back to the config. Let me go, and you got two config files here, but if I do on this one here, and I'm going to edit, as you can see here, the host, as I told you, was null because I didn't put anything in it. Let me go out, and let's go, and I'm going to put the IP address here. Actually, I'll tell you what, mail.sguk as well, so I can actually log in on anything here now. But again, I gotta have to, as you can see, once you put the IP or the mail host, that will totally disappear and it will work okay. But you got to do that in the beginning, otherwise you might have errors. For example, one of the errors, you can see the storage has not been done. You got to do it properly, but this is the reason why. But if you do that in the beginning, you will have no issue whatsoever. So I got to go back, and I'm going to leave it as null. I'm going to save it, refresh that, and I'm going to go log in again so you can actually see it works okay. I'm going to press login, and it should be working perfectly well, as you can see here. Inside this actual config file, you can change many other things. You can change the ports, you can change the host, the SMTP, the Imap server, whatever. You can change everything from this config file. But be careful what you're doing, because once you install it, and if you start to messing around and you don't know how to do it properly, you might end up with with no access at all to the server. So make sure you do some research first before you change anything here. Okay, so once that has been done, I'm not going to go too much in details because I don't want to confuse you a lot. The less, if you know what you're doing, of course, you would never going to watch my videos. If you're here to watch my videos, it's because you need help on how to do it in an easy way. And this is the reason why I do it as easy as possible. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a new email address. So I'm going to the Cyberpanel. Let me close this one up here. I think I made a mistake. All I want to do is just create a new email. Let's go back. I think I'm getting confused here. Let's go back to email. There we go. Let's go to list emails or create a new emails, whatever comes first. There we go, create a new email. I'm going to select the domain. I'm going to select cadence.local. I'm going to create a username, in this case cadence. In this case it's going to be cadence@cadence.local. And I'm going to create the actual password. And I'm going to press create email. As you can see, that's been done. I'm going back to RoundCube. I'm going to copy this one here again, if just in case I don't remember, or you can actually write. I think it's much easier that way. Cadence.local. I'm going to add the password, and I'm going to add the host here. I think this is wrong here because I think I'm going to have a problem here. But again, let me copy this one just in case I don't want to write it again. I'm going to press login, but I think I'm going to have an error exactly. The storage. What it's expecting is the actual main. As I'm going to use osc.uk, this is what is actually expecting. It's not expecting anything else. Because as I said in the beginning, this is how I done it. So let's go back here. There we go. That's the reason why. That's the actual reason why it's expecting that email address. Okay. So once I do login, as you can see, I can actually log in with the other email address. Now, if you're going to change it, make sure everything is done properly. That's why the reason why I told you in the beginning. That's where you're going to put it. Once you put it there, you don't even need to touch this at all. It's done all automatically. You can actually change that if you want to with the IP. In this case, my case will be 192.168.1.227. I'm going to save that so I can actually show you as well what I'm talking about. Let me log out. Let me do exactly the same thing now using the IP address rather than mail. Maybe that one is much easier for you. If you want to do it that way, it's also working perfectly well. So I'm going to press login and should be fine now without any issues. Here we go. As you can see, it works perfectly well. All right, so let's go log out. Now I'm going to show you the PHP My Admin, so you can actually see the double entries on the user. So I'm going to press on users. As you can see, there are two entries, one with the mail.osc.uk and one with the IP. Again, if you decide to leave with the IP, all you got to do, just delete the other two if you want to, and just leave the other one so the system knows that's being done by using the IP. And we're going to go and press OK. So once that's been done, guys, anyway, thank you so much, guys, for following this quite long tutorials. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did remaking this tutorial. One of the most viewed, if not is the most viewed tutorial that I made on the last 8 years of YouTube. So hey guys, any problem, just leave the comment below, and if I can help as usual, I will answer your question below in the description. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time.